Alright. Hello everyone and welcome everyone to a game between FoCuS and LawLiet. This game taking place here on Tide Hunters. LawLiet spawning as the blue Night Elf player on the top left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, FoCuS has spawned as the yellow orc on the bottom right. Orc versus Night Elf in this 1v1, and this is after the latest patch. The biggest change we'll see in this particular matchup is that huntresses can, once they get their heavy glaives, will actually get heavy armor, meaning that they're going to be effective at pushing in against piercing damaged units. This wasn't something I was even considering in the realm of possibility in terms of balance, but somehow huntresses, which were a tier 1.5 unit meant for early game, now has an upgrade for later game as well. It is important to note that huntresses will give a little bit more diversity to the Night Elf army composition overall. There's simply just too many units that were kind of weak to piercing damage. Dryads and huntresses both fall in that same category. So siege damage was also particularly a problem, forcing a lot of players to try and have to go for bears. It is now possible to, well, go huntress bear and not have to worry about siege damage or piercing damage at all. We are looking at a blade master coming across from FoCuS. Meanwhile, we are looking at a demon hunter coming in from LawLiet. Build orders should still be the same for the early portion of the game, but I am really curious as how the meta is going to flesh out here. Oh wow, that little crab causing this sea giant to have to walk around a little bit further. Ancient of War tanking quite a bit of damage. Gonna try and finish, or at least deal some damage onto that Forest Troll Berserker, and then switch targets onto that Trapper as well. We're going to see the Demon Hunter pick it off and then perhaps finish off that Forest Troll Trapper and then go finally to that Sea Giant. Meanwhile, Blade Master wind walking, well, does get a wind walk strike onto the Wisp, able to take down that Wisp there. And now still holding onto that Scroll of Town portal, going to sell it, perhaps pick up a Circuit of Nobility, and then make his way out around the map. New meta, new strategies, all of this should be very interesting. As well, we are still talking and playing WarCraft 3 here in 2025. The addition, or I know Grubby had a pretty, well, invitational tournament for other casters, getting other casters involved. It was nice to see WarCraft 3 hit some big numbers, but what I would really want to see is WarCraft 3 in general, the popularity of WarCraft 3 be tied to how great of a game it is, and not necessarily tied to an individual personality. Coming back around, Blade Master may try and go after this Ogre Magi Creep Camp. Grunt is off over here as well. Demon Hunter are going to get a little bit of poke damage onto those units as we're looking at a tech to tier 2. We do see huntresses are getting trained, and I'm wondering if there could be some sort of timing attack now, where huntresses come in with those heavy glaives and are able to put in pressure onto orc burrows. Semi or slightly ranged huntresses able to get some damage onto orc burrows. Even if they end up getting some of that, even if they end up getting that fortified armor, the huntress, well, you can see right now they do normal damage, and then this can go from unarmored to heavy armor as well. I wonder if there's actually like a visual indication, because changing the armor on a unit would be pretty different. And you'd want to be able to see that difference besides having to actually click on it, like similar to knowing that it's a berserker versus a headhunter. All right, let's go ahead and engage. We are going to see shadow meld there, and what's interesting is that the shadow meld is still revealed, as we're going to see a voodoo lounge come across here. All right, so a little bit of damage. Archer is going to go ahead and quickly shadow meld. We're going to see some damage onto that voodoo lounge and some early pressure with these huntresses. Huntresses dealing some decent damage, going to be able to get in some glaive bounce as well, as we still don't see any upgrade to Warmail, but we are getting up a Tauren totem, a little bit of Glaive throwing a Glaive damage again. Are they going to see that bounce there? Yes, we are. There's another mana burn. A little bit more Glaive bounce once more. All right, trying to go after this Murloc Flesh Eater. That's going to Shadow Meld there. Demon Hunter going to try and pick up that item. What is it going to be? Level 2 now. Mantle of Intelligence does have evasion, and now we're going to see some damage starting to rack up. The Huntress does not have that heavy armor just quite yet, and we're still poking around here. This Grunt looks like it is going to get taken down. Shadow Meld preventing, and I don't believe that was denied there at all. Units still trying to retreat back. There's another 26-point mana burn as the units are retreating again. Demon Hunter may be forced to try and heal up, and there is that upgrade Moon Glaive. Was wondering when that was going to be completed, and they're choosing to do it. And once there was 3 Huntresses out on the battlefield. All right, Vampiric Aura onto the Skeletal Orc. Demon Hunter going to pick up a Tome of Strength. There is the Sentinel Scout being able to keep track of where that, perhaps, that Blade Master and Shadow Hunter could be. All right, we are looking at a Keeper of the Grove as that second hero. We are getting up Ultra Vision. These Moonwells are currently full, so I am surprised that the Demon Hunter isn't actually trying to drink from the full Moonwell first. But, well, we're going to see Mantle of Intelligence and Gauntlets of Overstrength +3 dropped and picked back up most likely to try and, well, get as much healing out of those things as they can. All right, going to go ahead, heal up, pick back up. We're going to be moving out once more. We are looking at a Keeper of the Grove now out. 35 supply compared to 32 for LawLiet. Back on the southern side, Shadow Hunter. Oh, Shadow Hunter can no longer just sit on Serpent Wards to try and counteract Huntresses. So it is going to be more Hex and Healing Wave. Blade Master wants to get to level 3. Meanwhile, we're looking at LawLiet going about. Oh, and there's that little Glaive, that Glaive Glow for that a little bit of additional damage, and that heavy armor that we mentioned. All right, those are going to get cleaned up here in just a second. A little bit of that Glaive bounce. You can see that bouncing across multiple targets as we are looking at LawLiet now setting up an expansion. All right, this last healer going to easily get cleaned up right there as the Shadow Hunter does get to level 2. Level 3 Blade Master, level 1 Keeper of the Grove going up against a level 2, and this could be interesting here as we're looking at a little bit of timing of what's going to go down. Are we going to perhaps see an Entangle? Yes, Entangle onto the Kodo Beast. Kodo Beast unable to chow down on anything. There's a little bit of range here. The Serpent Wards are now being thrown down. Dryads are joining in on the battlefield as the Kodo Beast is easily going to get finished off here. Demon Hunter does need to force a retreat away. We're going to see a little bit of damage, and the Enraged and Reef Elementals, well, no longer have piercing damage, so these Huntresses are no longer nearly as fragile. All right, so early fragile units now become much tankier, able to tank a lot of this damage here as the Keeper of the Grove going to stay behind, continue to get experience. Nice play by LawLiet, keeping that Sentinel in the sky, making sure that the, well, Blade Master is not nearby. Level ups most likely coming in from FoCuS, and momentarily, well, LawLiet has not received any return on investment on this expansion attempt off to the north. And we also see Thorn's Aura. All right, so LawLiet opting to go for Thorn's Aura here. So it's going to be able to reflect back a little bit of damage. Demon Hunter also coming over as well, pretty strong. There's a Tome of Intelligence, there's some Sentry Wards, and the Keeper of the Grove shy of level 3 because the Demon Hunter came over just a bit too quickly. All right, Gargantuan Sea Turtle going to get cleaned up here. Yeah. Level 3 now on that Blade Master. Little Serpent Wards. There's some poking damage, poking around. There's a Clarity Potion as well. Are we going to see some slow damage here? Sentry Ward not placed down, and there goes a Dryad quickly getting entangled. Spirit Link, Potion of Invulnerability now as the Blade Master is going to escape. All right, Huntress trying to get away. Huntress getting taken down. Raiders Raiders also not dealing nearly as much damage because, well, siege damage versus heavy versus unarmored. So Huntress is much better against the siege units as well as FoCuS now trying to retreat back here. All right, so this has so far been a great example of Huntresses and how they currently could be played. Spirit Walkers are now the ones going to be dealing the majority of the damage, but remember, there are Dryads here as well. Blade Master, well, coming across here, and that is going to be some easy push. A great example of the new Huntresses, how useful they are. Headhunters, a siege damage, Serpent Wards, Kodo Beasts, all not doing the necessary damage to finish off these Huntresses easily. The Spirit Walkers were semi-useful, but as you remember, Dryads are magic immune. And as magic immune units, well, the Spirit Walkers can't do any damage to them. This expansion by LawLiet off to the north had 0 return on investment, didn't even mine any bit of gold, but still with that, with this new upgrade by the Huntresses, able to come away with the victory. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below, and how big of an impact those Huntresses and that armor change has been. On top of that, let me know any of your predictions on where the meta might settle, right? Huntresses going up against Raiders had always been, slightly in favor of the Raiders because they had Ensnare and then also had the right damage type to deal bonus damage to those Huntresses. Instead now, well, we saw that in that game how different that all played out. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below. Was it a tier 2 timing push from LawLiet, or did FoCuS fall into some traps? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.